So, I heard you're looking for a go-to source for entertainment.
Wait for it.
Gaming?
Wait for it.
Anime?
Plus Ultra!
Mr. Eric Almighty and Phil the Filipino? Yeah, they've got you covered. And all you gotta do is... wait for it. This is the Wait For It podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wait For It podcast. I am your co-host, Phil Smith, aka Phil the Filipino. And joining me as always is your other co-host, Mr. Eric Almighty. And Eric, even though it is technically June 5th, I'm just going to speak in the future tense. Man, we are exhausted after a fun weekend at Bold Matsuri where everything went off without a hitch. I'm sure there were no issues whatsoever. No fires we had to put out. No missing people that were supposed to be somewhere that they were not. None of that happened. Everything went off perfectly. And we are here for the June edition of the Creator Spotlight, bringing in a longtime creator and a longtime friend that we have known over the course of getting to do these wonderful conventions and these wonderful opportunities that continue to come our way. Thanks, a lot of it because of you guys listening to this podcast. And Eric's super excited for this conversation. Definitely an overdue conversation as we bring in our guest here tonight.
Yeah, very much so. And I'm already tired thinking ahead to Bold, but we are going to have to talk about it. Like, what future us is going to experience. But until that time, we're going to have a really fun time recording this episode. If you are listening to this episode, it will be after Bold Matsuri. So if this is your first episode to the podcast, I think you're in for a really, really good time. You may have ran into us, or you may have ran into our guest, and that is EmberTay. Tay is with us here, and Tay, are you ready to jump into some pop culture and just absolute nuttiness tonight?
Yes, I'm so excited.
There we go. I'm really excited to kind of jump into a couple of things with you, but first and foremost, I want you to kind of take the floor. We've talked about a lot of our friends in the cosplay community and beyond at a lot of these conventions, but for some people, this is their first time hearing about EmberTay. So Tay, let us know a little bit about you and what you got going on. What is EmberTay all about?
I'm a cosplayer, content creator. I basically just like nerd culture, geek culture, and so made my entire life about it. So that's what I'm about. I stream, I cosplay, I play games, and I do nothing else, really.
Those are the important things. As we have gotten older and we navigate through life, it's like, hey, what are the things that make me happy? What are the things that I have identified that I can just, like, again, like you said, make content out of, make a living out of? So we're going to get into all that here this evening. And yeah, just like I said, like Eric said, super excited to have you here. So for any of you brand new listeners or returning listeners, if you need a refresher on where to find all of our content as well as Tay's content, make sure you stick around to the very end of the episode. We'll let you know where you can find all of that. But Tay, I think the very first conversation we really had, we did we did a spotlight video last year at last year's Bold Matsuri, which is crazy. We're coming up now on what, year 5 for Bold? I think year 4 at the Prime Osborne, and then year 5 overall.
It feels like a blur.
Yeah, it kind of all runs together at a certain point. But Tay, just kind of tell us about your how your cosplay journey started. You know, we've talked to our friend Soup Ninjaha in the past. We've talked to our friend Caught Red-Headed. So, like, kind of where did your cosplay journey begin, and when did you realize that this is something you could take to the current level that you're at now?
So I've been going to conventions since I was really young, actually. My parents are into the, like, nerd sphere, so I was raised in it. Like, I was, like, children's show for me was, like, The Labyrinth and things like that. Like, I was just brought up mostly on fantasy, not so much on anime. But so I was just brought up in that, and I started seeing people at Dragon Con actually cosplaying, and they and then also just all the fashion. I'm from a really, really, really small town. Like, my graduating class was less than 100 people. And so I was the only, I was a closeted nerd, okay? Like, I didn't tell anyone because I was scared. And so I would go to DragonCon. It was the one time a year I could completely just be myself, wear whatever clothes I wanted to wear. And I just started wearing these, like, outfits that were inspired by, like, Celine from Underworld and things like that. And I would thrift all the pieces for it. And then I realized that what I was doing was, like, an actual thing. And I started being like, well, I can make that. I've always been, like, a little crafty with my hands, just sculpting and stuff when I was a kid. And so I started seeing other cosplayers at the cons and realizing that that's what they were doing, and just started doing it myself. I just wanted to be like the cool characters I liked. So that's really where it all started, I guess.
Yeah, and it always seems like the constant, Eric, when we have these conversations, especially with people that are very present in the convention space, is it's always a place where you can just be yourself and meet like-minded people, and that's what really had drawn us to this scene even before we started doing this on the level we're at now. Just going to MegaCon like that first time and being like, oh my god, like these are my people, like these are, and seeing cosplay for the first time and seeing, the vendors, the artists, and all this stuff, it opens you up to a world that you didn't even know existed. So it's like a culture shock almost when you find that world.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, Tay, we also kind of the same boat in the sense that, like, I don't know about you, but we didn't see ourselves doing this ever. Based off of what you said, I think you can relate. We never saw ourselves running a cosplay contest for a convention and all the madness and meeting the voice actors in front of and behind the curtains, having those conversations. So it's been really kind of exciting to jump into some of those new ventures. Kind of skipping ahead, and then we'll return back a little bit on your journey. I know you just recently, like, actively started streaming on Twitch. I was kind of curious, like, what made you make that jump? And was it other people that made you make the jump? Have you always wanted to do it? Because now I see you're streaming all the time, which is super, super awesome. So we'd love to kind of highlight that here.
So, yeah, gaming has been, like I said, I was raised in this kind of stuff. So I've been playing WoW since I think it came out when I was 10, and I played it the year it came out. So it's been a long time, and video games is just, like, always what I've done for fun in my free time. And the older you get, the more you kind of, like, feel guilty about spending time on things, like, instead of being productive. So I always had this kind of idea about streaming, wanting to do it, but then I was very self-conscious about the idea of it and being on film. I've always told myself, like, oh, I don't like being on film because you can't take it back and those kind of things, like, once you're live. And it was just a mental block. And really what pushed me past the mental block was just good friendship. I had really good friends, like, Kendall, Sid, Yuki Kitsune, who all, like, really, they all streamed already, and they're all like, you're, like, I was playing with them, I just wasn't on film, and they're like, you're doing fine, like, you could do this, why aren't you doing this, you're gonna be good at it, like, just try it. And so, like, it was a lot of getting over the mental block myself, but also really them pushing it, especially because Kendall was having me on, like, every Friday or every other Friday, like, really pushing me to, like, get past that and do it for myself as well. So yeah, good friendship, and then just getting, like, mature enough and working through kind of, like, the nervousness of doing it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too, because like we were talking about before we started, we have also just begun our Twitch journey, and I'm doing it with a friend of ours. Like, I know I didn't want to go into it by myself, and Eric was already, he's so heavy in the social media and putting his time into that. I wanted to find another avenue for content, and Twitch has been a lot of fun. The conversations that you get to have, even when it's just like, even when there's like 5-6 people in there, it's just like you get a sense of community. Like Sid, that came up a lot with Sid, right? Community, like that came up all the time. So yeah, that's really, really great. And we also talked about like every single time there's just some sort of malfunction or technical issue, or I don't know how to crop a box. I don't know how to crop Jordan's picture correctly.
That was an experience.
It's been a process, but you know, it's a great opportunity to highlight, you know, your personality, and also getting to play games and finding people that share that interest in, you know, whatever that game may be, or, you know, topic or interest or whatever it is at that time. I think that's really awesome that you grew up, you know, already kind of, you know, grew up with a family that was really invested in the community already. Usually, Eric, what you hear is, yeah, you know, my parents didn't really understand, you know, what I was into, or, you know, like you said, having to hide it when it wasn't as accepted as it was before. Talk about like just kind of where we're in now, because I've said this a lot. You know, I think anime is in the healthiest and most well available spot that it's ever been, and not just anime, but you know, fantasy culture, gaming culture, and all that kind of stuff. So again, speak to that sense of community that you see when you know, we do get to go to these conventions and we get to meet up with everybody.
So like, just speak on how the community has gotten to where it is.
Yeah, and like how it's impacted you and you know, where you're at now.
Yeah, one of the like coolest things, I guess, I'll start with the story. Let me preface with that. But one of the coolest things that's kind of happened since I've like done my like public persona, you know, and been more open about just who I am, is that some of the people from my tiny hometown have messaged me and been like, hey, I didn't know you enjoyed these things. I enjoy them too. Like, how do I get into this scene? And then, you know, I also got to bring one of my friends from childhood to a con and put her in her first cosplay. She borrowed my Bulma cosplay, and it was, she like was so confident and so like excited in that cosplay. And so I really just enjoy seeing people be able to be themselves, to have media that you know, understands them and gets them, and be able to express that. And the more people that kind of like find a you know, form of self-expression through medias, like, I just think that can only be good, right? Like, it's only bad to gatekeep people being able to like have something that they identify with. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, Tay, we're kind of looking forward to Bold Matsuri, and obviously that's like one of those like active communities that you get to be involved with. Some of these Jacksonville cons, Ocala, you mentioned a couple other ones, but the ones that we've known you at, like, it's just always been nice to see you both with other cosplayers and with fans, being able to interact with them. I'm just curious, you know, going to these conventions all the time, what are some of the things that you look forward to the most within that community? Is it hanging out with some of your cosplay friends you haven't seen in a while, or you get to finally hang out in person? Is it a mixture of also getting to see some of those repeat fans coming to check in and say, hey, I love your stuff? Like, what are some of those highlights on a standard weekend? And we're talking to future Tay as well. If there's anything at Bold specifically you're excited to experience, you know, we'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I really enjoy hanging out with my friends, of course, but and I think hanging out with them at cons is different because we hang out online, like we have Discords and whatnot. But being able to wear cosplays together is like special and fun to be able to do. But yeah, I like talking to the people. That's like one of my biggest I don't know, I just like for example, when we do the cosplay 101, or like last time we did wig styling, or when we do prejudging for contests, no matter what panel I've ever been in for cosplay or for the community, have I not learned a new tip or new information or something new about the fandom. Like, there is just so many benefits to being able to talk to people who enjoy or are interested in the same as you, as far as like even just viewing it as a learning opportunity. It's a great learning opportunity, and it's a great like community feeling to be able to like talk about it together, and even more rewarding when you can like workshop something together or be like, sometimes I'll get into discussions with people at my booth about like fan theories about things and we go like off the rails, and that's like one of my favorite things that happens. But then of course there's always like, I just like seeing the cosplays too. It's like going to a museum, but the museum walks in front of you like over and over. So yeah, I don't know. Cons are just like, they're like an amusement park. It's like even better in some ways, because it's just like, sure, there's little things that can go wrong in here and there, but overall there's like not many negatives to them. There's just so many things to get excited about, and so many, like, I don't know, I could ramble forever about all the little things about cons that excite me.
Oh, I love that, though. I think it's really funny. Maybe attraction's not the word to use, but like, you know, you're a guest, so you're kind of like the attraction for people to come see and be like, oh wow, I've only seen her on a stream, I get to meet her in person or something like that. It's so funny to see the opposite perspective where you're like, well, no, this is my like attraction. I get to see everybody that walks up in their cosplay with their theories. Phil, I think that's just such an interesting perspective maybe we haven't heard before.
I don't know. I think it's similar to Ivan. We've had Ivan Patch on, an artist that's always at Bold, and we always see him down in Ocala as well. And his favorite part is talking to people. He is actively looking to get into discussions with shows that either he never gets to talk about or stuff that that people are really passionate about. So I think it's very similar on that level. When it comes to, you know, getting to interact with people. So I'm the same way, like getting to talk to people about like when people light up when you talk about an anime that they never get to talk about, like, right, like usually that happens, Eric, with Mob Psycho. Like whenever we bring that up, everyone's like, oh, I love that, and it's like they, you know, they're excited to talk about a show that for some reason. That was
me with Kaiju number 8 in the pre-show,
right?
So yeah,
for some reason nobody is talking about it. So we'll see what happens in a couple weekends if we bring it up. So yeah, that's always really great, and you know, we've all had a chance to host our own panel, and again, I think I'm always just really blown away by the participation, because I go into it, I'm like, especially the first time, we're like, no one's gonna be at this. Are people really gonna answer these questions or participate in all this? And then they do, and they're enthusiastic about it. You know, it's always a really great time. So to bring it back a little bit, you talked about how you've been playing WoW for the longest time. One, are you still active in that community? And two, what other games have kind of shaped your fandom? Because you said primarily your main thing is gaming when it comes to, you know, what you're passionate about.
Yeah, I would say anything fantasy, but a lot of fantasy is games. I really deeply enjoy literature and you know, fantasy film and TV as well, but gaming is where you get to be in the fantasy world. So that's I think that's why like gaming has always been a little bit mostly where my heart's at. So I started with WoW because, like I said, I was raised on fantasy, and by that I literally mean my dad.
Did you all play together?
Yeah, my dad was my guild master. And but he's also ex-military, so he was like, well, if you want a raid spot, you gotta earn it. You know, like it was like in my house, it was like, you wanna be a raider? You gotta work for that spot. And so I was on the B team for raiding for years. And I would, our guild was big enough that we had like an A squad.
No nepotism in this house.
I know, right? But we had an A squad and a B squad, and I didn't get to be on the A squad until I was like literally a teenager. So, yeah, WoW was huge for me. But I stopped playing it because our guild kind of ended up, you know, WoW is on its way out. You know, it's like a trickling off game. It's not on its way out. That's not fair to say. It's not the community it used to be. It's not as big as it used to be. So it's but our guild, a lot of people just had to move on with their lives and couldn't, spend that much time because WoW is a very time intensive game. I got there when I went to college. I was raiding when I should have been doing my homework and stuff like that. So like, it never caused me real issues in schools because I did set boundaries with myself. But that's about when I stopped. We were raiding like competitively, like trying to get world first and things like that. And granted, we only got, I think, one ever, but we were very intense into it. And I had to take a step back and be like, okay, look, this, you got to focus on school and things like that. So that I still play it, when an expansion comes out, I quest through it. But raiding is where my like heart was. And now that that's like not really on the table for me, I only play it very casually. Other games that... So I know I just said all that about fantasy, but Last of Us, like really, it has like a really special place in my heart. I also I like Genshin, Baldur's Gate. I also played the first two games. Well, it's not fair to say played. The first game, I basically had a controller that wasn't plugged in for. But then I remember growing up with the Baldur's Gate games. So Baldur's Gate 3 to me was like, I got to fully experience it. So that game's very special. But I also like games like Enshrouded. V Rising has been my latest addiction though. We have a community on there. It's a private server, so it's like getting to hang out with friends and be a vampire, and I love vampires, so it's like, what's better than that? So that's been my latest addiction, is that game. But yeah, there's so many. League, I went through like a 4-year period of playing League, like an unhealthy amount, so yeah. Any game where you can just like be in it and get caught up in it in the story is just... Nier was also another one that, like, Nier is probably got to be in my top 5 games of all time. Just, like, if I can put all of them in there, then I would put all of them in there. And then Castlevania is another one. I haven't really... I can't say I've played them. I have them, and I have started Symphony of Night, but I watched playthroughs of all those games, and I've read some... That's just another fandom that I just would ramble about for an entire episode. But yeah.
You made it a really good point. And Eric, you know that I have kind of been on this hill for a long time. So Tay, I want to know if you agree with me. I feel, and then I'm interested to also hear your answer because you love to read. I feel like video games are the best storytelling medium available because, like you said, you do get to put yourself into the shoes of that character. I think probably the only thing that is similar is reading. So I have kind of been a little bit of a snob where, we're getting all these live action adaptations, and granted, a lot of them have been really good. Last of Us, excellent. Fallout, incredible. But I have always been in the camp where if you don't experience the original, if you don't play the game, then you don't necessarily get to experience the story. Like if I don't read that book, I don't get that story. So I kind of want to get your opinion on that because again, I think that gaming is like the storytelling medium out there.
Yeah, so my job is in like the publishing field, publishing book industry, and so my job for a long time was to read books essentially before they blew up and review them and whatnot. But I do feel sometimes it's hard to phrase it because I don't want to take anything away from the enjoyment. There's different kinds of enjoyment you get from things, but I would say it's like Easter eggs or things like that. You're going to miss minor little things that matter or build up to certain things. And just because as much as I'm not taking away from it, I love film and TV, but it is just, it can't ever be long enough to not miss something. It's just inevitable that you're going to miss, even if it's just something small, like a small detail, like you don't possibly have enough time to capture it all. So yeah, I'm in the boat that it doesn't mean you're not enjoying it. It doesn't mean you don't love it as much as I do. You can love it equally as I do, but you probably, will miss a minor detail here and there. Whether that detail matters to the overall, you know, like, it could be nothing and just be a cute little thing, you know, but
satisfying.
Yeah.
You know, so, and also, you know, again, to play devil's advocate to myself, we've seen it with Fallout, right, Eric? People are going to Fallout for the first time because of the show, and that's great. You know, my daughter is playing through the first Last of Us because of the show. You know, she wants to play through it. It's going horribly, but she wanted to play through it, and you know, she's getting through all of that. And then the next question, Eric, I had another follow-up because Sid brought it up as well. When it comes to League, there are certain games where people, everyone that has come on here, and they say don't play League, do not play WoW. Are you in that camp and telling people don't get into these games because of some of the reasons that you just mentioned?
Here's my thing, and I know this is unpopular to say. I don't like when anyone tells me not to play a game, because I'm gonna do it if you tell me not to.
Yeah.
I think League and WoW are both games that if you're going to play them and you're going to get into the fandom, it should come with a content warning or just a life warning beforehand. Like, WoW, you're not gonna have any spare free time. That should be, before you play it and you agree to play it, it should pop across the screen and be like, you're going to have no life. And then for League, it should just be like, only play if you don't get mad easily. Because I never played ranked in League. And I did that on purpose because I knew it would ruin the game for me. Because I've played games competitively and stuff before, and sometimes it's a good experience, sometimes it's not. Like, I did horribly in competitive Overwatch, like, and but I liked raiding that way. I liked PvP in WoW, and I like PvP in certain games, but if you get mad with, like, a little bit of trash talk or things like that, don't play League. So it's just, like, I don't want to tell people not to play it, because if it's your type of game, you totally should play it, but just know what you're getting into before you do it.
Don't get mad. And it's wild, Eric, that your brother Stefan plays League. Probably
constantly.
Yeah,
constantly.
He's not on right now, but I think when we started, he was playing League.
But he's been playing X Defiant for like the last 72 hours.
To be fair, I haven't seen him on X Defiant in a few days.
That's probably because he's playing League. That's exactly what I'm
He's
thinking.
playing Diablo right now. Sorry to dox you, Stefan. He's playing Diablo right now.
Don't look at his game history. It's absolutely crazy.
I love Diablo.
I definitely could not get into like League of Legends or anything like that. Like, I couldn't imagine getting into that. I also never imagined I'd get into Baldur's Gate 3 though, and I am playing it for the first time. So I'm very curious, because that's such a big game. I'm very curious, like, what has been your relationship with that game? I know you're streaming it from time to time. If I'm correct, I think you were on it a little bit, possibly today. So, like, I'm kind of curious, like, what has that experience been like playing Baldur's Gate recently, and just how you got into the game and all of that? Because that seems exactly down your alley based off of what you said so far.
Yeah, so when I saw them announce it, I knew I needed it. I didn't get early access because I have close, friends and loved ones that were like, well, once you get this game, you're not going to do anything else. Like, you're going to forget to eat and, among various other things, right? And it was true. I played it when it came out, and it was true. I absolutely no life that game. I have like hundreds of hours, and I don't want to say how many hundreds, but hundreds of hours in that game, and it's been out for over a year, or right coming up at a year or something. So that's bad. But it means the game's really good. I think Baldur's Gate does one of the best jobs at making you realize that no one is a perfect good guy and no one's a perfect bad guy. And I will say, as far as like other media sources that do this very well, I think anime is one of the best other sources that does this. That because to me, that's just a message I enjoy deeply. Like, my favorite stuff is dark fantasy, and I like morally great characters, and I don't like when everything's perfect. I like when it's messy, because that's life. Life is messy. And so Baldur's Gate is really good at doing that. It makes you feel for the characters. It helps you shape this story. And they've thought of everything. All the time I've spent in this game, every single time I've done a playthrough, I've experienced something that I didn't experience the previous time, which is insane. So the stream actually, Twitch has an integration with Baldur's Gate where your viewers can choose your dialogue options in the game. So they can vote on it, right? And I myself am just like, well, if they voted it, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm never gonna override their vote, never, because to me that's not what it's about. It's about letting them play the game through me and basically just getting my reaction to it, you know? So I just we're doing Dirge, which I've never done Dirge before, oddly enough, and so it's been a great first time experience because I'm experiencing the game in a brand new way for the first time with them, and my character keeps doing these strange, completely messed up things that none of my other characters have done because it acts on its own in some ways, and I get to experience that for the first time with chat that has also made decisions to also lead us to make these crazy choices. So it's just very much like so layered. It's so layered of a game, and I think it's just super, bringing a community to that makes it even more interesting and kind of chaotic, which I love.
Well, chaotic is how you can explain Eric's playthrough. Eric, if you want to tell her a little bit about what's been going on your end.
Please
I
share.
didn't dive in. I knew this was not necessarily my bag, but I have been enjoying the spectacle that has been Eric's playthrough. As I just sit back. And I try so hard to just be, I'm trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? I try to delegate for Eric between him and his brother. And I'm like, Eric, do you mean this? And Eric will be like, I don't know. Like, you gotta help me out, man. I'm trying so hard.
Listen,
I'm on your side.
I don't know.
Trying.
It's so much. It's very overwhelming. But I mean, I'm having such a blast with it. I just think the world is so full, and like you were talking about, like the endless scenarios. The thing I've been told the most is I've never seen this character do that, or I've never seen anyone make that decision that led to that action. And I just think that's so fun of an experience because, like Phil's saying, like he will not play this game, but I get to experience the game with him by him watching, and like we have a small watch party, a very like unofficial, just under the radar thing that we do every week, and it's always a good time. We get a lot of laughs. There's a lot of yelling, but mostly laughs. So I love that because I think Baldur's Gate really opened my eyes to what Phil was saying regarding it being such a storytelling medium and being such a strong one. But you mentioned anime, and I am obviously a big anime guy. I think it is one of, if not the best storytelling method for a lot of reasons that you mentioned. I'm curious, what are some of those like big anime that have influenced you from that aspect? Like, what are some of those animes, whether or not you've cosplayed as them, what are the animes that really stood out to you and made that impact the way that some of these games have?
So anime that are really like deep and kind of like make you think and make you see characters as people. Like, I mean, Castlevania to me is just because we talked about it already and is one that comes off the top of my head, especially characters like Lenore. I did cosplay her just because, yeah, that means a lot to me to see a character that like struggles in realistic ways. And I like to, when power comes at a price, this is a theme I've always enjoyed because it does. Like, we see that in the real world, right? Like, oftentimes power corrupts people. And so I like seeing it mirrored in games and film and stuff. And we talked about Attack on Titan as well. I definitely think that's when Soul Eater is one of my like all-time favorite animes, if not like it's probably in my top 3 because it does that. Like, yes, there are characters that are obviously good and obviously bad, but they have like inner struggles and they have struggles that they work through within friendships as well. Like, especially like Soul and Maka's relationship. Tsubaki to me is a very deep character that gets overlooked a lot. But the scene where she is dealing with her family's history, like that arc, it sticks with me visually, and I just think about it. I also feel that that way about certain romance animes. Like, I didn't expect it at all, but Skip and Loafer, I don't know if you guys watched that this season. It's a romance, I suppose. It's not gotten very romantic yet, but it's leading into it, and it's very deep. But I also love some of the, like, I'm into Jujutsu Kaisen, which I know that not all of us here are huge fans.
Yeah, some of us like it, some of us don't. We won't name names.
Yeah, and then I do like Demon Slayer a lot. I'm trying to think of more obscure ones, because I have like a shelf. One side of my like mini library right now is actual like adult fantasy books, and the other side is manga, and I haven't gotten through all of them, but like literally my Demon Slayer boxes are sitting right there. But yeah, I think even anime that people think are like fun and like goody, you know, like I love Fairy Tail, and it's lighthearted. Mostly the good guys are good guys and bad guys are bad guys, but then you get to characters like Jalal, and then you're like, why do I feel bad for Jalal? And you just start thinking about it, you know, like, so I don't know. I think there's a lot of anime that do it well. I think that's why I enjoy it so much. Whereas with, you know, with a lot of live action stuff, like we have to get series that get huge budgets in order to get the same results. Whereas anime, they can do it with, you know, like a small fraction of the budget a lot of times. Like, you know, so much went into Game of Thrones. Yes, it had the same effect, but it also had a lot that went into it, like a massive team. And I love that fandom. It's one of my biggest, you know, fandoms as well. But there's no denying how much effort it took compared to something like Jujutsu Kaisen, even it being a high production anime.
I think, you know, you bring up a good point, because you talk about like the morally gray character, and this also, to tie it in also with, you know, with gaming, when you talk about The Last of Us, like Joel toes that line. Ellie, obviously, in the second game, really toes that line. And I think the thing about these shows, with anime specifically, and then also with shows like you mentioned, like with Game of Thrones, shows like The Boys, shows that have come around like that, is the sense of consequence. Like, how many shows do we watch, Eric? How many Marvel properties have we gotten into, and some of these other things where like we know what's going to happen? Like, there's no sense of consequence. Or if something happens, The Walking Dead, right, fell into that trap where nothing was happening, they were afraid to kill off characters. Where these other shows, specifically anime, is like, we'll get rid of that character. You love that character? We'll kill that character. I'll write off that character. That's what the author will say. So I think that's another thing that makes it, you know, with when you see whether it be an animation, whether it be anime, when you find something where there are actual consequences, that's what draws people to it so much as well. And Eric, you just recently started your Game of Thrones journey, so just don't get tied to anybody. I've never watched it myself, but you know, you jump into some of these experiences, and you know, well, I know I can't fall in love with anybody here.
Yeah.
Listen, I understand, and I do know some things that happen. I don't know everything, but I do know some big, you know, plot points just because the show's been out for so long. But yeah, we're watching season 1. Actually, me, my brothers, my sister, we all got together, and we're doing a family viewing, which is very odd. We learned that in the first episode. Not the best choice. I didn't ask for this. I was looped in, but it's a good show. Like, it's definitely got some appeal. Despite its length, which, Phil, you know, I obviously talk about like TV show lengths, and I really think the anime medium does it better, but Game of Thrones has just this appeal to it, and I think it really works. So I've been enjoying it so far, but yeah, I already know I don't mess with the Starks, so whatever happens from here, I think I'm going to be good. I don't mess with the Starks. Only maybe 1 or 2. That's about it.
I'm so excited to hear you say that. This is one of my biggest unpopular opinions. Because I've read the books too, and I was so confused why everyone likes the Starks. Why do they like the Starks? Like, I get that the actors are great.
Arya is the only one that I vibe with at all. Everyone else can get it.
Yeah.
I'm done. And Jon Snow doesn't count, but like, I feel like I'm just going to exclude him and let him do his thing. But outside of those two, I really don't know why people like these characters at all.
I like your opinions. I have to be careful. I don't want to say anything else about who I like and don't like because things change a lot. So I want to know your opinions once you've give me progress updates because I respect your opinions so much already. I'm like, you're really gonna get this. Like,
deal. Well, by the time Bold comes around, I'll almost be done with season 1. So I'll fill you in.
Okay.
And Phil looking like a lost
too.
puppy with Game of Thrones talk.
Yeah,
this is another fandom, by the way, Phil, that I'm going to be talking about on these episodes that you are just going to sit here for. So
that's fine. I'm not going to watch your family pirate anime where you guys are looking for treasure that
why do you have to attack One Piece every time? You do it to hurt me, of time. And I don't appreciate it, but you'll watch fucking Atlas with Jennifer Lopez this year. Spend 2 hours watching that. Movie. That's crazy.
Because I think I have this weird thing where I just enjoy watching train wrecks, which is so J-Lo's having a bad year, and I was like, I'm gonna watch this and see how. I also started that movie today, the French film about sharks in Paris, and I didn't know that it's in French, so I started watching it. It was in dub, and I was like, something's off about this, and I checked the subtitles, and it's originally in French. So, I'll check that out. I also have a lot of YouTube videos about, terrariums to watch. So, I have things to do, Eric. I don't know what to tell you.
So upsetting.
I like learning about other things. Fantasy has never really been my bag when it comes to, like, that specific genre. The only thing I think I've ever really dip my toe in is the Shadow of Mordor games, and like that's the closest I've ever gotten to really anything Lord of the Rings. So I've it just hasn't really been my thing. Mine has always been dinosaurs, kaiju. Like really early, it was Power Rangers, stuff like that. So it just wasn't for me. Which is strange because like I remember when season 1 of Game of Thrones came out, everyone was talking about it, and I remember Movie Stop. Remember Movie Stop was a thing. I actually pre-ordered the first season of Game of Thrones. I was like, oh yeah, I'll check this out, and then I don't somewhere along the road I canceled it. So I have seen one episode of Game of Thrones, and it is the series finale.
Yeah,
that's the only one I've ever
Phil
watched.
has actively joked starting another podcast where we
called
watch
Throne
it
of Games
from the back,
where I watch it in reverse.
Please do. The last seasons are awful.
Yeah, my sister was a huge fan of them, and just seeing her react to it, I was like, man. And I've already been through so much heartache with shows. Like I watched Lost, even though like in years, like the Lost finale is kind of, as I've gotten older, it's come around a little differently. Dexter gave us 2 bad endings. Like we got screwed twice in Dexter. How I Met Your Mother was a show I was very heavily invested in. Terrible series finale. So I think it's really like a thing of just being afraid to get hurt. Mm-hmm. And knowing what happens with Game of Thrones doesn't help. So, yeah, it's tough these shows can't figure out how to close. These live action shows, it's like they can't figure out how to just end it. We don't watch The Boys, but like they're already talking about extending The Boys longer than they originally thought. Like, no, don't do that. Ted Lasso was 3 seasons. They said it was going to be 3 seasons. We're in, we're out. It's done. I'm sad, but it was incredible. So more shows need to do that, man. Just cut it off.
Another show recently that did that was Shogun. They said they were going to do it all in one season, and they extended it, and I was like, it was
And
perfect.
There's no source material anymore. So there's no second book. No. So why are you doing that? Yeah. Like, also, Eric, when you watch that, a show, don't get attached to anybody. So, that, like, why are you doing more Shogun? We don't need that. And then they're talking about a 4th season already of The Last of Us. There's only 2 games. Yeah. So what are you what's happening? So like they need to know when to just cut it off. And but like the money is so good that these studios are like, no, we want more. That's why we got 19 Marvel shows a year up until recently. Yeah. Because they get greedy, man. I don't get it.
I think people really underestimate the value of a good writer too. Like that changes an entire story. And so the people who wrote Last of Us and then Game of Thrones, obviously the writer, when that fell apart, when they stopped following his his books, and that's happened with literally everything I've seen, where the original source material has either they've gone past it or they've discontinued to respect it. It goes downhill because people don't appreciate how valuable a good writer is, because that's from that person's brain. That's their inner genius. Okay, you can't replicate that. I don't care how much you think you can. You can never replicate a person's inner genius that's going on in their own mind and appreciate them. That's why it's so good. You know, that's why it is genius, is because it is this beautiful, valuable thing that can't easily be replicated. That's why you love it. So love it for what it is.
And this, a lot of it has to do with not having the attention span, and we're all guilty of this. Everyone, we all have our attention spans are the shortest they have ever been in human history, and a lot of people they want that instant gratification, but it's proven time and time again, like, these things take time, they take effort, they take a lot of work, and unfortunately we don't allow for that. Like I said, we're all guilty of that. But,
yeah.
I don't know, man.
I just gave up on an anime recently called To Your Eternity, and it was the second time that I dropped it. So
okay,
not great. So it happens to the best of us, even in those mediums. Tay, I'm very curious about this as we kind of transition. We'll have a little bit of fun with a couple games here in a little bit. I noticed.
Who's gonna have fun?
I'm trying to stay positive, Phil. Let it be positive. But Tay, I'm very curious. So I was kind of looking into your bio, and I noticed it said chief editor at My Geekology. And I was checking out the website, and I thought it was just really interesting. Would you like to talk about that a little bit, about like what you do there and what that site's all about? Because I thought it was really cool, some of the things I was checking out, some of the articles, and I thought that'd be a great plug if that's something you're interested in.
Yeah, so that website is like a passion project. It's something me and a couple of other people have been working on for years. And I write, but mostly I edit other people's writing. And editing is also sending it back and being like, hey, I want to know more about this. It's not just like grammar and things all the time, but it's also choosing a lot of times. And some authors I don't do this with because they're practiced enough or whatever, for whatever reason, right? But some of them I'll send back like 3 pitches and be like, okay, here's your 3 pitches. Please write about one of these kind of thing. Or, well, usually you get pitched, but I'll be like, these are 3 things I want someone to write something about. So it is really just a place to kind of talk about these things that we're kind of getting a little deep about sometimes, because I went to school for anthropology and history too, so one of the big things I wanted to do was like dive into the history behind certain shows and talk about why certain things like tickle our brains and the things we watch and whatnot. So it's that, but then it's also like, WTF, did this get canceled? You know what I mean? So it's just a little bit like all over the place, just a passion project. And we're like also working on just different like branching out past website, like different shirts and things like that, things that you don't see made that often. Like one of the things we're working on right now are cosplayer shirts. So one of the cosplayer shirts is like, I'm a procrastinator cosplayer, because we all are, or I'm a burnt out cosplayer, because we are, and no one talks about that or sees that, but it's a little bit just like, this is like a fun thing that we can all kind of collectively agree on or experience. We all collectively experience as cosplayers, so let's talk about it more, or even just have something to express that more. So yeah, it's a passion project, because I know you were saying you're into like kaiju and dinosaurs like that. Like I would love like pieces like these are where the Jurassic Park dinosaurs are so different than real life dinosaurs and stuff like that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah.
No, I think that's awesome, and just kind of going into that, we'll kind of circle back to that here as one of the things I want to talk about in the at the end. Phil, I had a feeling you were going to pull out the dino nugget.
Like this dinosaur.
He's a chicken nugget.
It's just going to be a staple of the show moving forward.
It's so soft.
Have you ordered the other ones?
Not yet. No, I got to get the rest.
Phil, quick detour
soon.
since you dinosaur detoured us. Are you watching Chaos Theory at all?
Chaos Theory? Yeah, Liz and I just got through episode 5.
Yeah, we're on
No,
episode
I didn't know there
3.
was dinosaurs, or I would. Or it had anything to do with dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's the Jurassic. So, did you ever watch Camp Cretaceous or hear of Camp
Yes.
Cretaceous on Netflix? Okay, so there is a new series, and they're like grown. They're like young adults, and it just came out about a couple weeks ago, right, Eric? Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely more adult themed. I don't know how many episodes in you are, Eric, but
Yeah, I'm only like 3.
Okay, well, something just happened,
Oh.
and Liz and I, we were watching right before this, and Liz and I, like, stared at you, we were like, what just happened? So, it's been very good. But, yeah.
No, really interesting. So, on that note, Tay, is there anything you're actively watching right now that is, like, of note? Something within that fandom that's kind of got you gripped? I know you mentioned Kaiju number 8 is a show that you kind of have been getting sucked into. What else? Whether live action or animated, what other like shows or anything else have you gotten into recently?
I mean, I just finished Invincible, and I really loved it. I love Invincible. I think it is like... I used to be really into superheroes and stuff, and Invincible is... That's the kind of superhero I like to see. Like, he is a good guy overall, you know? He's just... Like, it goes back to the all, like, we're not perfect humans thing. I love that stuff. So Invincible to me is perfect without, you know, and I love The Boys too, but sometimes The Boys tries, it does shock value things, where Invincible does as well, but it does it in a way that's, like, to me, sometimes not as shock value-y, not as in your face about it. So not to compare the two, because I know they get compared a lot, and to me, they're very different, but I just, yeah, that one, I'm trying to think of other anime, and I'm like almost need to bring up my Crunchyroll, because I'm super behind on My Hero, but I've been going back and watching, I think I'm on season 5, so not super duper behind, but super behind. I've been enjoying that again. I got away from it because the fandom, and I've come back to it a bit, so now that I've like separated myself from that, but I know everyone's sick of hearing it. I have to say it because this is legitimately like the thing that I have been no thoughts, only this thing is Hell of a Boss. Not has been, but Hell of a Boss specifically. I love those characters. I love the writing. I only got to go to one panel at MomoCon because of scheduling, and I said it's going to be the Hell of a Boss panel. So to me, that's hands down the one I've been most obsessed with recently. Like, everything I got for my birthday was Hell of a Boss.
We got to check that out because we're obviously big fans of Has Been Hotel, and it's been on my radar. What would you say is like, what makes it better than Has Been? Like, is it the story? Is it the characters? Like, what if somebody likes Has Been Hotel and you think Hell of a Boss is like a step up from that? Like, what would you tell that person to get them to watch it?
Okay, so I love both. Let me preface by saying that. I'm not like, oh, this one's trash. You know, like, I know some people have been like almost like dissing Has Been to basically say Hell of a Boss is better. I like Hell of a Boss better. I don't think, you know, one has to be not good for one to be better. So but I would say that they're kind of a little bit just for different people. I think that Has Been is a little more Disney, whereas Hell of a Boss is a little more grungy. And I do, for me, relate to more of the characters in Hell of a Boss. There are more characters and more storylines I care about in that than there are in Has Been. Specifically, the two characters I like the most are kind of Fizzaroli and Moxie, but Moxie I specifically relate to because he's someone who is like a little bit generally, you know, feeling like misunderstood and out of place at times. He's very much, though, like, knows who he is, and he's trying to like kind of he just has anxiety too, and I heavily relate to that. So and I think all of these are things that the show doesn't push in your face. It's all things just from reading into the character and being like, hey, I experience what that character is experiencing, and that's why I know he's experiencing anxiety, instead of the character being like, I'm so anxious, you know? So that's one of the reasons why I think the show is so successful, and why like so many people are falling in love with it, because it says it without saying it out loud. And the characters are really relatable in that way.
I actually caught it was out of order, but I did watch 2 episodes, and I say watch, but like loosely. It was while I was getting a tattoo done, so like I could only kind of like halfway pay attention to it. But I did watch it, and yeah, I definitely want to check out the rest of it. I think it's really cool that there is this world building where it doesn't necessarily have to. It is connected, but it doesn't have to be. So I think that's always really great appeal. So yeah, definitely need to check that out, Eric. It is in my. I mean, there's no queue in YouTube, but like I want to check it out for sure. Yeah, Eric does not like Invincible. That is not his bag. Could not get into that on his end. I need to catch up. I need to. Yeah, no, it definitely is. I need to finish that because I got a little bit behind. But again, there's just so much to catch up on. But yeah, I've never had an interest in watching The Boys. Like Eric, I know you we've thrown it out there, but like. I don't know, there's something about it, and I know it's a solid show, but like I don't know, there's also a tipping point to gore that I can handle, and it's very specific stuff, and like just being anxious about when it is not going to happen. I don't want to go down that road, so I don't think I'll ever check out The Boys.
Which is wild, because I feel like you would enjoy it for all the other stuff, and you also send a ungodly amount of Homelander memes, so feels like we should be watching.
He's a very memeable character. I don't know what to tell you.
I understand. Feels like we should be checking that out. But Phil, anything else you kind of want to ask before we get into some of the activity-based stuff that I know you're looking forward to?
Activity-based. That's the term we're going to use now. No, I don't think so. Tay, yeah, just looking forward to seeing everybody in a couple weeks. I know Sid mentioned it is her birthday con, so we gotta, figure out our plans, and it should be a fun weekend. But no, I don't think so.
All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into this first, and I say activity because I actually took this from, and this is kind of like a easy plug, from the My Geekology site. I'm not going to tell you what quiz this is, but I am going to ask you questions from here, and then I'll reveal what it is. So this will be to both of you guys, and we'll kind of go down the line and then reveal what it is about. If you could have one otherworldly accessory, what would it be? The options are horns, wings, an extra set of arms, antlers, or a tail. Tay, what would you go with?
Okay, I know there are better options for practical reasons, but if we're talking about merely for the aesthetic, it would have to be wings or horns. So give me a second, I gotta think.
Okay, Phil, do you know?
Oh, wings.
Wings.
Yeah, wings for sure. Just for the sole purpose of getting around, I definitely would go wings for sure. Horns would be pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
But I think wings would be the most beneficial.
Yeah.
What were the other ones?
The other ones,
tail,
horns, wings.
Oh, extra arms.
Yeah, extra arms, antlers.
Extra arms
tail.
might be. I mean, the guy on My Hero with extra arms is useless. So, he doesn't get any screen time, so no, not him, not that.
Okay, I'll go with horns just for the sake of us having different answers too, since I couldn't decide anyways.
Okay. What is your love language? Gift giving, words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, or love is a distraction? And we'll go Tay. Tay first.
I'll say gift giving. I love giving little trinkets and stuff to my friends, buying them little gifts.
Phil?
No, gift giving is it for sure. Yep.
That makes sense.
No, it doesn't even matter what time of the year it is. Like, I got you something.
Phil, we'll let you go first this time.
You want your present?
Phil, we'll let you go first this time. Which job appeals to you the most? Entertainer, social worker, professional host, therapist, or entrepreneur?
Oh, professional host. I was entertainer off the bat, but like professional host there's some appeal to that, I guess. I'll go professional host.
All right, we're gonna lock you in. What about you, Tay?
Yeah.
Dang, I think I might have to go with therapist. I kind of just want to know what people are thinking sometimes.
Okay. All right. What's your biggest strength? Quick wit, attention to detail, collaboration, a positive outlook, or loyalty? Phil, what's your biggest strength? I don't think any of these are your strengths, but if you had to pick one.
Well, that's rude. Quick wit.
Quick wit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Tay?
Loyalty.
Loyalty. All right. For this next one...
What is this going to be?
For this next one, I actually feel like I have to show what it is. So let me see if I can show you guys without. You know what? Yeah, I can. I'm gonna cheat here, and I'm gonna use my snipping tool, so you guys can't see what the site says. All right. So this next question is, what type of car appeals to you? And let me see if this works.
Is this like what car are we in the Cars universe? If it is, I hope that's it. I hope that's what this is.
In the Cars universe.
Let's see if it shows. All right, can you guys see 5 cars?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, which of these cars appeal to you? Phil, I'll let you go first.
The Transformers one, the Bumblebee car, because that's the only one I
Camaro?
recognize.
Okay.
I don't know.
So
Cars
simple.
are not my bag.
Tay?
Me neither, but I just love that 1920s Rolls Royce so much.
Rolls Royce,
So
okay,
pretty.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
All right. I don't know how this is going to fit in. It's so out there, but it's so funny. All right. Your friend calls you and needs your help. Tay, we'll go to you first. What is your first response? Is this something I can help with? I'm on my way. What's the plan? Who do I need to hurt? Or what's in it for me?
I'm on my way, dude.
Okay.
I'm on my way.
Phil?
Is it you calling?
Let's say yes for the scenario.
Depends on the caller, man.
Let's say it's me.
Can you repeat them?
Yeah.
It's you.
Is this something I can help with? I'm on my way. What's the plan? Who do I need to hurt? And what's in it for me?
What's in it for me?
I shouldn't have even asked you. What is your favorite movie genre? Romance, murder mystery, anything animated, action adventure, or I'm not a movie person? Tay, we'll give you this one first.
Anything animated.
Okay. Phil?
Oh, murder mystery.
All right. Which of these music genres appeal to you the most? Blues, classical, punk rock, ballads, or musical theater? Phil, you could take this one first.
Ooh. Oh. I didn't expect that last one. I will go... Oh, God. Yeah, I'll go musical theater. I'm a closet theater nerd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tay?
Yeah.
I think I'll go with like punk rock.
Yeah, I was between those two.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're towards the end. You're going to throw a party. Who are you inviting? My close friends only. Everyone. Why throw a party when I'm the party? I'd rather not. Or people I know will get along with each other. Tay, who are you inviting?
I want to say close friends, but honestly, I like hosting, but I don't that much anymore. So maybe I would rather go to someone else's party. Like maybe I would rather not.
I'd rather not. Okay. Okay.
I would rather not host, but you better invite me.
All right. So Tay picked I'd rather not. Phil?
If you asked me 10 years ago, it would be everybody. I would just invite. Sure.
God.
Invite them. Yeah,
So,
I don't know.
so many
I don't know
people
who that
we
person
met
is.
for like year spans
never-
that we never talked to.
I
again.
follow people. I'm friends with people on Facebook I met one time, at a party that I threw, and I'm like, I don't. Oh, congratulations on your child. Like, I don't know who that person is anymore. I will go because now there is an art form to putting together an event. I'll go people that I know will get along.
Okay. What's your favorite way to spend time with your friends? Working on a project together, by challenging them to a little friendly competition, doing favors for them, going out to party, talking about your feelings. Phil, what's your favorite way to spend time with your friends?
What were the first few again?
Working on a project together, challenging them to competition, doing favors for them, going out to party, and talking about your feelings. That last one,
I'd
we
say
can just
challenging
X out
them
for
to
you.
challenge them to friendly competition. Yeah, not the last one. Challenging them to friendly competition.
Okay. And
Working.
Tay.
Yeah, working on a project together because I like crafting with my friends for sure.
Okay. So we are going to go ahead and reveal what this quiz was actually about. And
Can we guess?
yes, you can. What you got? I mean,
Please.
Yes.
I know what it is.
Yes.
Oh,
but
you know what it is?
yeah,
Yes,
I, was
yes,
like, I would
but-
hope she would know.
Yeah.
Phil, can you
Is
guess?
it anime related?
Not anime specifically, but
No.
animated.
Animated? Is it like what Disney character are you?
No.
No.
No, it's actually something we did talk about today, though, which was kind of perfect.
Which Jujutsu Kaisen character are you?
No.
Okay.
A little bit more fun than that. I'm going to share my screen for this one. And that should be... Yeah, here we go. All right. Which has-been hotel character are you? Which I think is extremely fun.
Oh, boy.
So
That's good.
the one on the screen here is going to be what Tay got. And Tay got Charlie.
Okay.
And it used, I don't know, Phil, if you ever went to a job that did disc, but this is a very like
Yeah, not
corporate
disc,
thing.
but I'm pulling up my Bumble profile because that's right.
Jeez, why?
I'm a ENFP.
Yep. So ENFJ is what we have for Tay, and then under disc is influence. So very focused on enthusiasm, charm, empathy, unwavering belief in redemption, and all of that. Phil,
Uh-oh.
surprisingly, I'm going to scroll down. You got Emily.
Oh, that's interesting.
Interesting. So that's an INFJ, or steadiness for disc. So
I
compassionate,
don't know about that.
steadiness. Some of the words here, depth, idealism. So I think we fucked up on yours. I'm going to be honest. And if anyone was curious where I
am the more
landed,
optimistic of the two of us.
I got Alistair, which shouldn't be surprising.
tracks.
So
Wait, for real?
yeah, commanding, taking charge, dominance, a lot of words that I would say are
It's concerning.
fortunately concerning, yeah. But that was
Welcome to heaven.
that was the first
Oh.
game. I thought that was a lot of fun. I saw that on the site, and there's a lot of other ones. There's like what Baldur's Gate supporting character are you? I wanna do that one and find that out. So we'll make sure that link is in the show notes for My Geekology. I thought that was a fun plug as well. But
thank you.
we do actually have a game. So Phil, you're gonna want to pull that up on your end, and when you pull up the main screen, this is going to be a new coat of paint on a game we've played before called the IMDb Parents Guide, which is
God.
basically reviews of the game or thoughts on the game based
we're doing
off
a game.
based off of
Oh.
the Parents Guide on IMDb.
Oh, God.
So the way this is
You
going to
guys
work,
see it okay? Is it a good size?
yeah,
Yeah, I can see.
Okay.
yep. And Phil, if you want to go to the next one here, and I'm gonna actually minimize you guys in Riverside. So if you guys do need to, you should be able to maximize the frame if you need to. But for this game, the way that this is going to work is we are going to look at 3 video games, 3 movies, and 3 shows. And so it's going to be a total of 9. Each of them are going to have these categories: sex and nudity, violence and gore, profanity, alcohol, drugs, and smoking, or frightening and intense scenes. They'll all have those. Each one of them will be ranked from none, mild, moderate, and severe. So each one of those 5 will have that label on it. And you guys will have to guess. Whoever the first one to guess it correct gets the point. And that's pretty much as simple as the game goes. So if you think you have it, shout out the answer. And we'll see who wins at the end of this. Again, this game should be fairly equal to the 2 of you, but it is currently curated for Tay. So I just, being a good host,
Wild.
just gonna let you know that. Are there any
It could
questions?
be curated down the middle. That's a thing.
Yeah, but you don't watch Game of Thrones or, One
You
Piece.
barely watch Game of Thrones.
I know, but I've seen so much of it on TikTok I can speak to it.
That's not
Okay.
the same. No.
All right. Any questions? Are we ready?
I hope so.
And we're good.
All right, Phil. Bring us to our
Gotta make
first.
sure. I'm just very intentionally clicking so I don't ruin this.
Yeah, please don't. I will tell you when to move forward. Okay. This first video game is rated E for everyone. It does not have anything as far as sex and nudity, violence, gore, profanity, alcohol, drugs, and smoking, or frightening
Sounds lame.
and intense scenes. However, I can give you guys some tips based off of each category. So for sex and nudity, there are characters, when devoid of any tops or bottoms, they'll be wearing a waist-length tank top and boxer shorts. For violence and gore, there is no violence and gore to be concerned about, but they can harass animals and bugs that are nearby.
Oh.
Animal Crossing.
Yeah, Animal Crossing.
It is Animal Crossing.
I think we both realized it at the same time, so
I will
you want
give
to
that
split
to
that
both
point.
You
of
said
you.
it first.
Yeah.
So yes, Phil, next one is Animal Crossing. Very good. All right. For our next game, we're 1-1. We gave points to each. This game is rated T for teen. And on the parents' guide, sex and nudity is listed as none. Some costumes can be revealing, but no nudity. Violence and gore is fairly tame. Players can get into gunfights and sword fights with other players and enemies.
Gun and sword.
Profanity is none, but if people are using a mic, that can change. Alcohol, drugs, and smoking is mild. During the course of a game, a player's character can drink alcohol, resulting in a screen blurring effect. Belching and hiccup sounds are sometimes heard.
Is this Sea of Thieves?
This is Sea of Thieves.
Ooh.
Very good.
Okay.
All right.
I was thinking Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but I was like, that's definitely mature. So that's not.
I was like, it has to be a pirate game. There's swords and guns.
Yeah.
All
Nice.
right. So Tay's up 2. Phil, you're at 1. Our next game is rated M for mature. Sex and nudity is severe. You'll see a lot of that here listed. When it is enabled, there is a lot of nudity in the game, a lot of it being unexpected. Violence and gore is severe. Violence is frequent in this game. In combat, blood spills are seen when characters take damage.
Baldur's Gate.
It is Baldur's Gate
Okay.
3.
I was like, this is Baldur's Gate or Sons of the Forest? It's gotta be one of these.
Baldur's Gate 3. All right. So we've got our tie here. So 2-2 going into our movies. So we're going to have 3 movies coming up here. For this movie, you guys are going to see here, it's fairly tame with a G rating. Sex and nudity is none. But there is a character that is on a horse and takes the saddle off with him, prompting the horse to walk away, covering his crotch as if he was naked.
Toy Story.
It is Toy Story 2. Very good.
Wow.
I wasn't going to make you do the exact one. That's crazy. That is crazy. You know, Phil, a lot of these were curated for Tay. That one was not. This was a wild card one. So you had the chance here. 3-2. Okay. All right. We're going to go to our next one. For this movie is rated PG. And you guys will see here, sex and nudity is listed as none. But on the parents' guide, it does say there are 3 scenes that show characters kissing. How dare they? Violence and gore is mild, contains scenes of infrequent, mild violence and scary scenes. Profanity is none. There is use of the word ship, but if one doesn't listen closely, it might sound like another word. Alcohol, drugs, and smoking is mild. In the background, you see 2 people clinking beer cups together. Frightening and intense scenes. A room that is lit begins to become dark and is bordered with what looks like dark shadows of spirits. A young man is seen melting from his human form into a pile of green slime. All right. Any guesses?
It can't be Ghostbusters or... Is it?
Nope.
I mean, no. I don't know.
Phil, this will probably be
Is
more
it?
challenging for you.
Oh, great.
More challenging for you? I'm trying to think.
All right, let's throw a couple other ones out there. Going back to sex and nudity, another comment here is that a young man is seen in a towel. Later in that scene, the towel is dropped, but no frontal nudity is seen. His butt's visible very briefly, but it's very hard to notice.
I can't. I'm trying to think if it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or something, like something I haven't seen since I was like a child.
Oh, man, you guys are so far.
Oh my gosh. It's not the Barbie.
Is it the boy and the heron?
No, but that's the closest guess we've had so far.
Slime.
That is a hint.
My brain is stuck on the slime comment. I can't move past that.
Yeah.
Well, back to frightening and intense scenes. In an illusion, a room is suddenly filled with water. The characters are then seen floating in a sky, and tiny blue human-like spirits with no faces hold hands and dance around the characters.
This is a Ghibli
Spirited
film.
Away?
Yeah.
It is a Ghibli film.
Is Spirited Away?
It is not Spirited Away.
No. There's no ship in that, is there? I don't know.
And I know it's not Mononoke because the spirits in that are like little black fuzzballs.
Yep. Another hint underneath frightening and intense scenes. A ship is seen with flames coming out and is presumed to have been shot down. Men jump into the harbor to escape the flames. Few bombs fall out of the sky into the water. People run into a panic, but nobody is seen harmed.
I'm not sure I've seen it.
Princess Mononoke? I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing out.
Nope.
It's not Howl's Moving Castle either. I feel like I would have known if it was Howl's. It is?
It is Howl's Moving Castle.
It is?
House.
Wait, that's crazy because I was like, the slime thing makes me think it is, but I can't think of the ship scene. Oh,
All
I
right.
love this anime actually, or this movie though. I can't believe I didn't get that.
That took a minute. You got Toy Story 2 in 1. But you got Moving Castle in 20.
Like immediately.
Dude, the scene of the horse with the saddle, it scarred me, okay?
Honestly, I thought I gave away too much, but then there was like a long pause. I was like, no, I'm good. And then you came up with Toy Story. It was crazy. But yeah, all right. Here's our next film. Tay is up by 1. For this film, you will see mostly mild across the board. Sex and nudity is listed mild on the IMDb Parents Guide. For this one, parents say the main character is mostly shown from the shoulders up in a dark and steamy shower. Violence and gore is moderate. A group of heavily armed men crash through the skylights of a house and fire at a woman. Very violent.
Crash through.
Profanity is mild. There are several mild profanities and some British slang, including the word bugger. For alcohol...
Is this one of the Indiana Jones movies?
It's not, but that's not a bad guess.
No. Okay.
Alcohol, drugs, and smoking. It just says drinking and smoking. And frightening and intense scenes is also mild. The main character falls a great distance through a hole in the ground, eventually stopping her fall by grabbing a hold of some vines in a large underground temple.
Tomb Raider?
It is Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Very good. That movie rated PG-13, I forgot to mention. Very good.
I haven't seen the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider.
Really?
I liked it, but I mean, who knows what I would think if I watched it now.
Watching it now.
Watch party. All right.
No.
No?
No.
No, Phil? Okay.
There are other things we can be doing.
Like watching Atlas.
That's how this feels.
Yes.
Oh, that's how it feels.
That's exactly
That's
how this
it
feels. All right. Taya's up by 2. We are now moving to TV shows. We have 3 TV shows that are going to be coming up. This one is rated for 7 years old and above. On the IMDb Parents Guide, sex and nudity is listed as none. There are some kissing scenes, but nothing inappropriate. Violence and gore is mild. There is mild to moderate fantasy action violence throughout. There's mild fight scenes, however, blood is rarely shown in the show.
Fantasy action.
Profanity is none. However, there is contempt between different people that is shown, similar to racism.
Oh.
Alcohol, drugs, and smoking is none. It says cactus juice is consumed in one episode, resulting in a reaction from one of the characters, similar to someone on psychoactive drugs. However, it's unlikely younger viewers would pick up on this.
Cactus juice.
Frightening and intense scenes are moderate. One of the characters is a murderous, deranged, and disturbingly violent person who is shown using violence, threats, and emotional manipulation for her own pleasure to achieve her goals. Viewers are led to believe she doesn't shy away from murder and torture to get what she wants.
Okay. Well, that just eliminated some shows.
Very aggressive.
I was thinking The Land Before Time for a second. And I was like, okay, I know Sarah can be nasty, but that's not like her.
Manipulated. Yeah, not like that.
So what, any TV shows coming to mind that you guys want to guess?
I was thinking, but like none of these characters fit that mold. I was thinking Digimon.
No, it is
but
not.
I don't know that there is a... Okay. Because I don't think any of those kids were like that.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in a long time.
Digimon, not an awful guess, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's close.
Yeah.
So that means it can't be Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon either.
Also, not bad guesses.
Yeah. Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely a good guess.
Yeah, not bad guesses
I'm trying
at
to
all.
think of...
It is definitely, as a hint, it is in the realm of it being, is it an anime or an animated TV show?
Avatar.
It is Avatar.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay.
Oh, I knew not to give that hint. God damn it. All right. Well, Phil, you're only down by 1, so I guess to keep it competitive, you're welcome. I did that on purpose.
Woo.
This one's going to be so interesting. This is a television show rated TV 14. The Parents Guide says that sex and nudity is mild. One of the female characters kisses a male character sometimes. All are brief. Violence and gore is listed as severe. Our main character and her team fight through enemies using various weapons like baseball bats.
I know.
Baseball bats.
Baseball bats.
Stranger Things.
Not Stranger Things.
It's not?
Oh.
No.
I guess.
Okay. I was like confident.
You were confident.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah, I was like, I know this one. Okay.
That's a good guess.
All right. Profanity is severe. There is a use of cursing throughout the series. Strong language is mostly used such as very frequent use of the F-bomb and sometimes the S-word.
And TV-14?
I am shocked that this is TV-14, but I have not seen it, so I can't really say it. Alcohol, drugs, and smoking.
Atlas.
No, this is a TV show. And not one day I will do Atlas on here for you, Phil. Alcohol, drugs, and smoking. There is frequent mild consumption of alcohol, occasional marijuana references. Harder drugs are mentioned on rare occasions but never shown. And then for frightening and intense scenes, violence is present. However, most of the violence has or is followed by humor, giving it comedic overtones and lightening the effect. Any guesses out there?
No, I thought it was Sabrina until the last comment. I thought it was possibly Sabrina.
Is this Windbreaker?
No, not Windbreaker.
Okay.
Still need
I
to
don't
watch
think
that.
they say the F-bomb in that.
All right. Sex and nudity. Couple more hints from here. There are frequent mild to moderate sexual references and jokes. In one of the seasons, two of our characters go to a party and are surprised when all of the villains drop their robes and start making love.
What is this? That's disgusting. Where can I find it?
Phil, I'm going to be honest. This is literally curated for you. You say I'm not fair. This one I know for sure you have seen. I'm not sure if Tay has. Tay would know of the character that it's about. But you have seen the show. Violence and gore is severe. One of our characters is regularly shown eating people. There's lots of violence, but it's not rampant in every episode, and it's usually purposely over the top, very often played for comedy. Also, it's animated, so it's not too gruesome.
What?
Eating people?
Mm-hmm.
That one really threw me for a loop.
There's nothing extra on profanity, pretty straightforward there. So same thing with alcohol, drugs, and smoking. So I will go back to frightening and intense scenes. In one episode, our main character bites a villain's nose off and then kills him with her broken bat.
Is it The Walking Dead?
No, not The Walking Dead.
No.
Nope. One of the hints earlier was that this is an animated show.
Oh, animated.
Now, Phil, I'm trusting these
Is
parents.
this? No, that's not TV-14.
Phil, I'm trusting
Is
these
it?
parents.
Is it? God dang it. That's not TV-14.
I am shocked that this is also listed as TV-14. I'm going to be honest with you. I definitely thought it was higher. Sex and nudity, another hint here. Two female characters are seen in a bed naked, but the blanket covers anything further. Violence and gore. A person gets stabbed through the throat with a wooden pool cue. And, yeah, I think that's like the most... I could probably give some more hints, but then they will probably
It's not
be
Legend of
spoiling.
Vox Machina. That's
Nope.
not TV-14.
Nope. A hint
And
I will
also, I don't
give...
know whether it be a pool table.
A hint I will give, this is a animated show around, or revolving around, a DC character specifically.
Oh my god, it's Harley Quinn.
It is the animated show for Harley Quinn.
Okay.
Are things not making sense, Phil?
Yeah,
Okay. Again,
That's TV-14?
that's... I looked, yes.
That's crazy.
I
That
looked.
should not be a TV-14 show.
All right. Phil making a comeback.
That's
This is
wild.
so fitting. I'm really excited the way that this turned out, because this last one, I think, is a pretty even match. I don't know, Tay, if you've seen this, but I think you probably have, or at least know of it, given
Okay.
given what we've talked about. So, Phil, this next one is
Also
TV
TV
14. I would also disagree potentially with that rating. You guys will see on the parents' guide, sex and nudity is listed as mild. There are 2 figures seen in the background, one male and one female. It is suggested that they are prostitutes.
Oh.
Violence and gore is listed as severe. The violence is strong and shocking at times with quite a bit of blood, but nothing defined as gore. Profanity is mild. The word shit is used 20 times occasionally.
20 times.
Very specific.
Okay, the way you worded that 20 times occasionally makes it seem like they say shit 20 times each time they say shit.
The parents' guide. I'm reading it as it was written.
They counted.
I know. That's crazy. Alcohol, drugs, and smoking. Many scenes take place in bars and pubs where characters can be seen drinking. Frightening and intense scenes. There is a major epilepsy warning. Lots of intense flashing sequences throughout the show. Any thoughts so far?
No, not for me.
These ironically got
Stranger
harder
Things?
the further we got along, which worked out.
Is this one Stranger Things?
It is not.
Yeah, I figured.
All right. This show is broken up into acts. In Act 2, 2 characters make love in a bed. That's sex and nudity. Violence and gore. Numerous corpses are seen. Not gory, but can be disturbing to some viewers. Many people are killed or suggested that they are. Sometimes it's off screen, but still fairly violent. Profanity, mild. Hell is said a few times. Alcohol, drugs, and smoking. Many characters are seen smoking cigarettes, pipe tobacco, and cigars. And then frightening and intense scenes. The show regularly deals with heavy and intense topics such as suicide, emotional abuse, abandonment, addiction, war, and death.
War.
I'm so stumped right now.
Confidence is shaken. I can feel it in both of you guys. Okay, it's for all the marbles. All right, another hint here. A mid-teenage character regularly wears a skin-tight crop top with side boob regularly showing. That is in Sex and Nudity.
Whichever parent typed that out needs to be on a list. Please.
I would say that is a fairly decent hint at one of the main characters of this show.
Arcane.
Oh, correct. Yes.
It is arcade.
Yeah, correct.
All right. Congratulations, Phil. You won a game. You won a game. All right. That is it. There's no corresponding slide. So, that is our adjusted or new version of the IMDb Parents Guide. I think it helps for us to see a visual as we just debate and think really hard about what these could possibly be. Those are our games for the episode. Phil, how are you feeling?
Feels good, man. Feels good. Felt like it was I was overdue, but Tay put up a good fight. It was a good time.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
Tay, you
glad
got
I
bragging
can...
rights on Toy Story 2. That was the wildest thing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We're gonna have to talk about that
Just
trauma.
off
We're
of that alone.
We're gonna have to talk out that trauma.
Honestly, if you want to give her 2 points in the win, I'll secede because that's nuts.
I thought about it. I really should come up with some type of scoring system.
Maybe like a timer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm embarrassed I didn't get Baldur's Gate or Arcane, but I got Toy Story.
A Baldur's Gate and then how long it took Howl's Moving Castle. I think.
That one was
were confident
embarrassing
shakers.
as well.
Yeah, see, that one's. I tap out on
I do
those,
not
so
remember
I
the
thought-
boat in it. The boat, I was like, wait, I don't remember. I know they're like by the ocean at times, but I don't remember a boat.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of some animated character yelling ship, and I couldn't.
Yeah,
I
that
couldn't
one
figure it out.
specifically, I didn't think Phil would do well in because Studio Ghibli just Still haven't found his Ghibli film.
Not my friend.
We're
No.
working on it. But Tay, this was super, super fun. As we're kind of wrapping up the episode, if you could give us an opportunity for our audience who has had a blast alongside with us, let them know where they can find you. A lot of this will be in the show notes of this episode, but let us know where we can find you on social media, what you got going on, your streaming, all of that. And of course, you're going to be at Bold Matsuri as well, so if there's anything you want to plug leading up to that, for people that have met you, this episode, again, releasing a couple days after Bold Matsuri has ended here in Jacksonville. This is the floor for you to plug anything you'd like.
Yeah, so I'm just EmberTay, EmberTay on like all platforms. I think I was able to secure that everywhere somehow. So if you want to find me, that's me. And yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm bringing Tsubaki to Bold Matsuri, and my brother's cosplaying with me, so I'm excited for that. He's gonna be Black Stars. Yeah, that's not a good plug, but that's what I'm excited for. And I guess Twitch is my new current obsession. So if you want to hang out and talk more and bully me about Toy Story, then that's where you can find me.
There you go. Well, all of that will be in the show notes of this episode. Again, Tay, thank you so much for your time. We got to collab more. Like I said, I'll talk to you about the site. We'll discuss some things. And, excited to see you continue your cosplay and your Twitch journey. It's been a blast getting to know you and everybody else within this community. And like I said, actually, you know what? It is currently in this episode. It is June 26th. It was good seeing you. We had a lot of fun. What a great time Bold Matsuri was. I'm just going to speak it into existence. So, again, everything you need from Tay will be in the show notes of this episode, as well as everything you need from us, where you can find our link tree if you want to follow everything on social media, the most important ones being Instagram, our growing Discord page, TikTok, as well as the Twitch channel that we have been talking about. If you want to support the show, you can do a couple of things. Head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. It is super helpful when it comes to algorithm stuff and things behind the scenes that we just don't understand. We would very much appreciate it. And you can also share content, tag us, let people know that you're listening, let us know that you're listening. All of that helps out so very much. If you'd like a little bit of a behind the scenes before and after episodes and kind of an idea of how all of this mess is put together, Eric will let you know how you can join a very specific community.
Yeah, so there's a lot of free options to be able to get involved with, but if you want to go the extra mile, you can join our growing Patreon base, where patrons like Stefan and Breyer are supporting the show, and in exchange, they're getting things like the behind the scenes and early access to episodes like this one. So we truly want to grow that platform a little bit further, but the platforms you're on right now, whether you're liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing, those things are very much appreciated, and we see the love. Just kind of speaking it into existence, Phil, Bold Matsuri, thanks to each of you guys for coming to see us, saying hello. Every time we do these cons, I know this is going to happen. We end up getting people saying, we love the show, we love what you're doing, and I hope we continue to receive the love at Bold. I'm going to speak that into existence. But for this episode, we are at the end. My name is Mr. Eric Almighty. That is my co-host, Phil the Filipino, and our guest, EmberTay. Please don't forget we release new episodes on the podcast every Wednesday with bonus content on platforms like TikTok and Twitch now. And all you got to do is wait for it.
So, I heard you're looking for a go-to source for entertainment.
Wait for it.
Gaming?
Wait for it.
Anime?
Plus Ultra!
Mr. Eric Almighty and Phil the Filipino? Yeah, they've got you covered. And all you gotta do is wait for it. This is the Wait For It podcast.